All right, get ready, because today we're diving deep into something pretty amazing, uh, conscious relationships
Ooh,
through the lens of the law of one.
I love it.
Have you ever felt like your
Yeah.
relationships are more than just random encounters? Like
Absolutely.
there's something deeper going on?
Yeah.
That's what we're going to unpack today.
I'm excited.
Me too.
Yeah.
And we've got some really incredible source material to work with.
Oh, yeah.
We've got excerpts from the book, Law of One in Relationships,
Mm.
Building Conscious Connections,
Okay.
which sounds
I love that.
amazing. And then
Yeah.
we're also going to be pulling from the Law of One books themselves.
Awesome.
So
It's a powerful combination.
it is. It's
Yeah.
a blend of really practical advice
Right.
and deep metaphysical exploration.
Which is what we need
Yeah.
because we want to understand this stuff,
Yeah.
not just on a surface level,
Right.
but also like, how do we actually apply this
Exactly.
to our lives?
Yeah. To build deeper, more conscious connections.
Mm.
And I think
Yeah.
prepare to have your mind blown a little bit,
Okay.
because we're going to be talking about some pretty wild concepts,
Oh.
like
Yeah.
pre-incarnative agreements.
Oh.
Have you heard of these?
Yeah, the soul contracts
Yeah.
before we're even born.
Exactly.
Child.
It's like
Yeah.
we're making deals before we even get here.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And those play out in
Yeah.
our relationships today.
Mm-hmm.
It's amazing.
We're also going to be diving into
Yes.
an often misunderstood topic,
Okay.
sexual energy transfer,
Ooh.
and how it can actually be a really powerful force
Okay.
for connection and spiritual evolution.
All right.
So let's get into it.
Yeah.
First, I'm going to set the stage with a really fundamental concept from the Law of One.
Okay.
Relationships as catalysts for growth.
I love that.
Now, I think we can all agree
Yeah.
that we want our relationships to be a source of happiness.
Of course. Who
Mhm.
doesn't?
Right. But the Law of One suggests that there's so much more than that.
Okay.
It's not just about feeling good.
Right.
It's about evolving.
Interesting.
So
Yeah. Well, it sees relationships as powerful catalysts for our personal and spiritual evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And this is especially true
Yeah.
for the challenging ones.
Ooh.
The ones that push our buttons
Right.
and force us to confront our shadows.
So it's not about avoiding the tough stuff.
No,
It's about leaning into it.
exactly.
Interesting.
The law of one suggests that the intensity of these third density experiences,
Yeah.
especially within relationships,
Yeah.
offers accelerated opportunities
I like that.
for learning and evolving.
Yeah.
Like we've got a choice.
Okay.
We can coast through life in a little comfort bubble,
Right.
or we can dive into the deep end of relationships
Yeah.
and really accelerate our growth.
I mean, who wants to stay in the shallow end?
Right.
Let's go deep.
Exactly. So what stands out to you?
From the Law of One material itself,
Yeah.
about this idea of relationships and evolution.
Well, what's always struck me is Ra's emphasis on the intensity
Okay.
of these experiences. It's not just that relationships teach us things.
Right.
It's that they can refine us.
Yeah.
Like we're being put through a cosmic forge.
Wow. I like that analogy. Like it's
Yeah.
really,
It's intense.
it's shaping us. It's
Yeah.
molding us
Sure should.
into something
Yeah.
more, I don't know,
Yeah.
resilient.
We're evolved.
Devolved.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's interesting because it makes those tough relationship moments feel a little less
Yeah.
awful,
Less personal.
less personal, less like a personal attack,
Yeah.
and more like,
Like a cosmic curriculum.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so think about a challenging relationship you've experienced,
Okay.
maybe one that brought up a lot of pain or frustration.
Mm-hmm.
What did you learn about yourself
Yeah.
through that experience?
Oh, so many things. I think one of the biggest things I learned was to set boundaries
Okay.
and to really advocate for my own needs.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a tough lesson.
Yeah.
But it was essential for
Yeah.
my growth.
And it's interesting, and sometimes those experiences that feel like the worst thing in the moment
Yes.
actually end up being
The biggest blessings.
the biggest blessings.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah. It's crazy how it works.
It is.
Yeah.
So this brings us to a really fascinating paradox.
Okay.
Within the Law of One,
Mm-hmm.
the concept of free will.
Right.
If we are all ultimately one,
Yeah.
part of this same unified energy,
Mm-hmm.
how can we have individual free will?
That is the paradox.
It is.
Yeah.
It's like if we're all connected,
Right.
our choices wouldn't really be our own.
Yeah, that's where it gets tricky.
Right.
Yeah.
But the Law of One suggests that this primal distortion of free will
Okay.
is actually fundamental
Yeah.
to the creator's experience of itself.
So even though we're all connected, we still have that freedom
Yes.
to choose our paths.
It's wild.
Yeah.
So even though we're all connected,
Yeah.
we still have the power to choose how we show up in
Mm-hmm.
our relationship.
Precisely. And those choices that we make
Yeah.
shape not only our own individual journey, but also like the collective tapestry of existence.
Wow.
It's pretty amazing.
That's huge.
Yeah.
It's like we're all co-creating this reality together.
We are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this idea of choice brings us to another really captivating concept.
Ooh.
Pre-incarnative agreements.
Yes.
Soul contracts.
Soul contracts.
This is where Law of One in relationships really dives into this idea.
Okay.
It suggests that before we incarnate,
Yeah.
souls may agree
Mm-hmm.
to play certain roles
Right.
in each other's lives.
Yeah. It's like we're choosing a curriculum for a soul level course
Exactly.
before we even get here.
It's like we're picking our classes.
Yeah.
And we're like,
Yeah.
all right, I want to learn about unconditional love this time.
I'll take that class.
I'm going to sign up for that.
Yeah. Or I want to learn about self-sabotage.
Right.
I'm going to encounter some challenging personalities.
Maybe I need to work on boundaries.
Yeah.
So I'm going to attract some people
Yeah.
who are going to push me
Who are going to test you.
to set those boundaries.
Yes.
It's incredible.
It is. But remember,
Yes.
free will is always at play.
Right.
So we can always choose to honor or deviate from
Sure.
those agreements.
So it's not set in stone.
No.
It's more like a blueprint.
Yeah, a guideline.
Okay.
And each choice that we make has its consequences.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah.
So how can we tell
Yeah.
if we're living out a soul contract in a relationship?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right.
It's not always easy to discern. And the
Right.
Law of One in relationships is really careful about saying
Yeah.
that we shouldn't overanalyze
Yeah.
every interaction. Like,
Okay.
is this my soul contract?
Right. Is this person sent here to teach me a lesson?
Exactly.
We don't want to get too caught up in that.
Right. But sometimes there are certain relationships that just feel different.
Okay.
They might be intensely challenging or deeply fulfilling.
Right.
And there's often this sense
Mm-hmm.
that you've known this person before
Oh, wow.
on a soul level,
Yeah.
like you've met before.
Yeah. Like there's this instant recognition.
Yeah,
Like you're old friends,
exactly.
even if you've just met.
Yeah. And that's a pretty powerful feeling.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And the book also mentions that these pre-incarnative agreements
Yes.
are made with the understanding that we're ultimately seeking to return to unity.
Right.
How does that play out in relationship?
Oh, that's where the magic happens.
Okay.
The Law of One suggests that every interaction,
Yeah.
every relationship
Mhm.
is an opportunity to experience different facets of the Creator,
Okay.
different expressions of that one universal energy.
So even in challenging relationships,
Yeah.
we can find glimpses of that unity,
Yes.
that interconnectedness.
It's always there.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm really feeling that shift in perspective
Yeah.
that you mentioned earlier.
It's powerful stuff.
It is.
Yeah.
So let's get a bit more practical here.
Okay.
What I'm hearing is difficult relationships aren't necessarily bad.
Right.
We might have chosen them on some level.
Mm-hmm.
And even in those tough moments,
Yeah.
there's a chance to experience connection.
Absolutely.
What's next?
Well, Law of One in relationships emphasizes the importance of communication and compassion.
Okay.
You know, it's like the saying,
Yeah.
we can't always choose the music life plays for us,
Right.
but we can choose how we dance with it.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's about taking responsibility
Uh-huh.
for how we show up,
Exact.
even when things get rough.
Yes.
So clear communication,
Yeah.
fueled by compassion,
Yes.
is essential.
Essential.
And this ties into the concept of the Green Ray Energy Center
Okay.
associated with the heart chakra.
Right.
And the idea is
Right.
when we operate from a place of empathy and understanding,
Mhm.
we enhance that vibrational harmony
Yeah.
between ourselves and our partners.
It's like we're tuning our instruments
Yeah,
to the same frequency.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So it's not just about expressing our needs,
Yeah.
but also really listening
Yes.
and understanding where the other person is coming from.
Absolutely. It's about seeing that interaction
Yeah.
as a conscious exchange of energy,
Like-
a dance of vulnerability and empathy.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, it's powerful.
It is. Are there any specific tips
Yeah.
from the book that we can put into practice?
Yeah, absolutely. Law of One in relationships suggests practicing active listening,
Okay.
expressing needs and feelings honestly,
Mm.
and seeking to understand rather than judge.
Okay.
You know, even something as simple as mirroring,
Oh,
where
yeah.
you reflect back what you've heard to ensure understanding
Yeah.
can make a huge difference.
I've tried that, and it's amazing
It is.
how much it can de-escalate a conflict.
It really does.
Yeah, because it shows that you're really present
Right.
and that you're actually trying to understand.
Yeah. You're not just waiting for your turn to talk.
Exactly.
You're actually listening.
And that ties in beautifully with this whole idea
Yeah.
of seeing relationships as a pathway back to unity.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
if you're truly present with someone,
Yeah.
you're acknowledging their unique expression of the creator.
You got it.
Yeah.
That's the heart of it.
Okay, so now let's talk about a topic
Yeah.
that is often shrouded in mystery
Ooh. Okay.
and misunderstanding.
Let's do it.
Conscious sexual energy transfer.
Okay.
Powerful concept,
Yeah.
but often approached superficially.
Right.
I'm a little hesitant to go there.
I get it. It's a sensitive topic.
It is.
And it's important to approach it with respect
Right.
and an open mind.
Okay.
But Law of One in relationships explains how this conscious sexual energy transfer
Yeah.
can actually elevate and deepen connection.
Like that?
Remember, sexual energy is a potent force,
Yeah.
and when it's aligned with love and respect,
Okay.
it becomes a sacred exchange
Yeah.
between two manifestations of the Creator.
So it's about moving beyond just the physical act
Yes.
and recognizing the spiritual energy.
Exactly.
Practically.
And that's where the Law of One offers some really profound insights.
Okay.
Ray, the source of
Yeah.
the Law of One material, emphasizes that green ray sexual energy transfer,
Okay.
the kind that facilitates spiritual growth,
Okay.
happens when the act is free
Yeah.
from those lower vibrational energies,
All
like
right.
possessiveness or the need for control.
Wait, so there are different types of sexual energy transfer.
Yeah.
What makes green ray energy so special?
Well, Ray explains that green ray energy is associated with the heart chakra, and it represents unconditional love and compassion.
Okay.
So when sexual energy is aligned with those qualities, it becomes this powerful force for healing,
Wow.
connection, and spiritual evolution.
That's amazing.
It's about surrendering
Yeah.
to the flow of love and energy
Okay.
and recognizing the divine essence within yourself and your partner.
So it's not about technique
No,
or achieving some specific state.
it's about the energy.
Yeah.
It's about the intention.
So how do we cultivate that kind of connection
Yeah.
during intimacy?
It starts with intention,
Okay.
bringing awareness to the energy that you're bringing into that experience.
Okay.
Are you approaching it from a place of love,
Yeah.
respect, and a genuine desire for connection?
Okay.
Or are there ulterior motives,
Like
like the need for validation or
Sure.
control?
So it's like checking your ego
Yes.
at the door
Exactly.
and really being present with your partner
Yeah,
on a soul level.
on a soul level.
That's powerful.
It is. And that's where practices like meditation,
Yeah.
mindfulness, and heart-centered communication
Okay.
can really come into play.
Because they help us cultivate that vibrational alignment.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's incredible. This is really making me rethink
Yeah.
my whole approach to a relationship.
It's a game changer.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
I know. There's so much more to explore.
I can't wait to keep going.
Me too.
Okay. We're back and ready to dive even deeper
Let's do it.
into this world of conscious relationships
Yeah.
through the lens of the Law of One.
I'm excited.
Before the break, we were talking about sexual energy transfer
Right.
and how powerful it can be when approached from a place of love and respect.
It's a game changer.
It really is.
Yeah.
And it ties in beautifully with the next topic I want to explore,
Okay.
forgiveness. Law of One in relationships. Building conscious connections really emphasizes the transformative power
Yeah.
of forgiveness in resolving those inevitable relational tensions.
It's essential.
It is.
Yeah.
But forgiveness can be tough,
Oh, yeah.
especially when you've been hurt.
It's not easy.
It's not about saying what happened was okay.
Right. Exactly. Forgiveness isn't about condoning harmful actions.
Okay.
It's about releasing that negative energy
Yeah.
and resentment that we hold on to.
The energetic blockages
Yes, the energetic blockages.
that can prevent us from experiencing true healing and growth.
Exactly.
That makes sense.
Hmm.
Holding on to anger and resentment doesn't really hurt the other person.
Right.
It mostly hurts us.
It hurts us.
But how do we actually practice forgiveness?
Yeah.
Especially in those situations where it feels almost impossible.
That's the real work.
Yeah.
And Law of One in relationships offers some really practical techniques.
Okay.
One that resonates with me is the idea of seeing the person who hurt you as
Yeah.
a soul on their own journey of evolution.
Okay.
It doesn't excuse their actions,
Right.
but it allows you to hold space for their growth while also releasing yourself from that burden of resentment.
So it's about recognizing that we're all at different points
Yes.
on this path of spiritual evolution
Exactly.
and that everyone makes mistakes.
We're all learning.
Yeah. Have you found that forgiveness practices tie into the concept of energy centers?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is about clearing out those blockages
Yeah.
in our energy centers, particularly the heart chakra.
Okay.
You know, when we hold on to that anger and resentment,
Yeah.
it creates this dense energy
Mm.
that can prevent us from experiencing love,
Okay.
compassion, joy.
So in a way, forgiveness is an act of self-love
Yeah,
as much as it is about the other person.
precisely. It's about freeing yourself from the shackles of the past
Wow.
and creating space for healing and growth.
I like that. And that brings us to the final concept we're going to be exploring in this deep dive,
Okay,
embracing challenges as opportunities for evolution.
I love it.
So we've been talking about relationships as catalysts for growth.
Yeah.
But let's be honest, sometimes those challenges feel more like roadblocks
Oh,
than opportunities.
yeah. Oh, sure.
How does the law of one help us navigate those rough waters?
That's where the real wisdom of law of one in relationships comes in.
Okay.
It encourages us to shift our perspective.
Okay.
What if, instead of viewing conflicts as failures,
Yeah.
we saw them as opportunities to learn,
Okay.
evolve, and strengthen our connections?
I love that idea, but in the heat of the moment,
Right.
when emotions are running high,
Yeah.
it's so hard to remember that.
It's not easy.
So any practical tips
Yeah,
for how to actually do that?
absolutely. One of the most powerful practices is to consciously choose
Okay.
how to respond
Okay.
rather than just react impulsively.
Okay.
You know, it's about creating a pause
Yeah.
between the stimulus and your response,
Mm.
allowing space for wisdom and compassion to
Yeah.
inform your actions.
Like taking a breath.
Exactly. Taking a breath,
Yeah.
creating that space to respond rather than react.
That pause can make all the difference.
It really can.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Yeah.
I try to remind myself that the goal isn't to win the argument.
Right.
It's to understand each other better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And sometimes that requires taking a step back.
Yeah. And another powerful tool for navigating challenges is mindfulness.
Mindfulness, yes.
The law of one emphasizes the importance of cultivating a clear and balanced mind.
A still point
Yeah.
in the midst of chaos.
Practices like meditation can help us stay centered and grounded
Yeah.
during difficult times.
Absolutely.
It's like creating that calm, still point within the storm
Yeah,
so we can observe the chaos without getting lost in it.
exactly.
I found that even just taking a few deep breaths can shift my energy in
Yeah.
a challenging moment.
It's amazing how powerful the breath is.
It really is. Speaking of shifting energy,
Yes.
remember how we talked about green ray energy?
The energy of unconditional love,
Yeah.
compassion.
How does that play a role in navigating challenges?
Well, when we approach challenges with that green ray energy,
Yeah.
with a heart-centered intention,
Okay.
it can completely transform the dynamic.
Okay.
It allows us to move from a place of judgment and blame to a place of understanding and empathy.
And that's where real connection and healing can happen.
That's where the magic happens.
Yeah. It's like we're choosing to see the situation through the lens of love
Yes.
rather than fear or anger.
Love is the answer.
It really is.
Right.
But even with the best intentions,
Right.
sometimes conflicts arise because we're simply coming from different perspectives.
That's true.
Yeah.
We all have our own unique perspective.
So how do we bridge that gap?
Well, the law of one reminds us that there are infinite perspectives,
Okay.
infinite ways of experiencing reality
Mhm.
when we can step outside of our own limited viewpoint
Yeah.
and genuinely seek to understand where the other person is coming from.
Mhm.
Even if we don't agree with them,
Yeah.
it creates a bridge of empathy.
It's about honoring the other person's journey,
Yes,
recognizing that we're all on our own unique paths of evolution.
exactly.
It reminds me of that quote.
Oh, yeah.
Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle.
That's a good one.
It really speaks to the heart of compassion.
Yeah.
And when we approach challenges with that understanding,
Yeah.
it opens up the possibility for deeper connection and growth.
It does.
Those conflicts can become opportunities for transformation,
Yes.
for deepening our understanding of ourselves and each other.
For sure.
This whole conversation is making me rethink my approach to relationships.
Me too.
Instead of seeing challenges as failures,
Right.
I'm starting to see them as opportunities to practice forgiveness,
Yeah.
to communicate more consciously, and to deepen my understanding of both myself and the other person.
It's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, the law of one is so powerful.
It is. It offers this framework for understanding the interconnectedness of all things,
Yes.
reminding us that every interaction is an opportunity for growth, for deepening our connection with the one infinite creator.
Beautiful.
But before we get ahead of ourselves,
Yeah.
there's one more big piece of the puzzle that we need to revisit.
Okay.
Remember those pre-incarnative agreements?
Oh, yeah.
Those soul contracts
The soul contracts.
we talked about earlier. It's
Yeah.
like we're all playing roles in this grand cosmic play,
We are.
each with our own unique part to contribute.
I love that analogy.
And it makes me wonder,
Yeah.
have you ever had an experience that made you think,
Mm-hmm.
oh, this must be part of a soul contract?
Oh, yeah.
Like a meeting that felt fated,
Yeah.
or a relationship that seemed to have a deeper purpose
Yes.
from the very beginning?
I've had relationships
Yeah.
that felt incredibly intense. Like
Yeah.
there was this karmic weight to them
Ah,
from the moment we met.
yeah.
It was challenging,
Right.
but it also taught me so much about myself,
Yeah.
about my patterns,
Mm-hmm.
and about the kind of love I wanted to create in my life.
And it's interesting how even those challenging relationships
Yeah.
can serve a higher purpose,
They do.
even if we don't fully understand it in the moment.
Right.
But how do we reconcile this idea of pre-incarnative agreements
Yeah.
with the concept of free will?
That's the paradox.
It does seem a little paradoxical.
It is. But the law of one suggests that these agreements aren't about dictating
Okay.
every detail of our lives.
Okay.
They're more like blueprints,
Yeah.
offering a framework
Okay.
for the experiences we've chosen to have
Mm-hmm.
in this lifetime.
So it's not set in stone.
No.
We still have that choice.
We always have the choice
Yeah.
how we respond to those experiences.
So we're co-creating our reality
Yes.
with the team of souls
A soul family.
who are supporting our evolution.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
It is.
What kind of soul contracts
Yeah.
have you drawn into your life?
Oh, that's a good question.
What lessons are you here to learn?
Hmm.
And who are the souls that are accompanying you on this journey?
I think that's a question we all need to be asking ourselves.
I agree.
Yeah.
And maybe the answers will reveal themselves
Yeah.
as we continue to explore these concepts
Mhm.
and pay attention to the patterns and synchronicities in our lives.
The universe is always speaking to us.
It is.
Yeah,
We just have to learn to listen.
we do.
All right, we're back for the final part of our deep dive into conscious connections through the lens of the law of one.
It's been quite a journey.
It has. We've covered so much ground.
Yeah.
From the big picture stuff like those soul contracts
Right.
to the really practical, like how to communicate more effectively
Yeah.
with the people in our lives.
It's been amazing.
It has. But before we wrap up,
Yeah.
there's one more thing I wanted to touch on.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the positive side of relationships,
Right.
the growth, the
Mhm.
evolution, the deep connections.
The good stuff.
Yeah. But what about those relationships that just feel toxic?
Ooh.
The ones that drain our energy,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe even feel abusive? How does the law of one address those situations?
That's a really important question.
Yeah.
And it's one that requires us to hold both compassion and discernment.
Okay.
Law of one in relationships acknowledges that there are negative energies and entities
Okay.
in this reality.
So it's not all love and light.
Not always.
There's a recognition that darkness exists too.
Absolutely.
Hmm.
And that darkness can manifest in relationships,
Okay.
creating dynamics that feel harmful or even dangerous.
So how do we make sense of that?
Well, here's where the law of one offers a really powerful perspective shift.
Okay.
It reminds us that even those negative entities
Mhm.
are ultimately part of the creator.
So even someone who is causing harm
Yeah.
is still, in a way, part of that same universal energy.
Exactly. They're just experiencing a different aspect of that grand cosmic tapestry.
Okay, I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
It's a big concept.
It is. It's not about excusing their actions, right?
Not at all. It's about recognizing that everyone is operating from their own level of understanding, their own karmic patterns,
Yeah.
and their own choices.
It's about recognizing our own power to choose how we respond,
It's exact.
even in the face of negativity.
We don't have to get caught up in their drama
Right.
or lower our vibration to meet theirs.
We always have the power to choose our thoughts,
Yes.
our emotions, and our actions.
And by choosing a love and compassion, even when it's hard,
Yeah.
we contribute to the overall healing and evolution of the universe.
And sometimes the most loving action
yeah.
might be to distance ourselves from a toxic situation,
Absolutely.
to create space for our own healing,
Right.
and protect ourselves from further harm.
Self-care is essential.
It is law of one in relationships doesn't advocate for staying in relationships that are detrimental to our well-being.
No. It's about finding that balance
Okay.
between compassion and wisdom,
Yeah.
between holding space for others and honoring our own boundaries.
This whole conversation has been so insightful.
Me too.
I feel like we've taken a journey
We have.
from the cosmic realms of pre-incarnative agreements
Right.
to the very real challenges of navigating difficult relationships.
It's all connected.
It is.
Yeah.
And the Law of One offers such a profound framework
It does.
for understanding the interconnectedness of all things.
Yes.
And its principles can really guide us
They can.
toward creating more conscious, fulfilling, and love-infused relationships.
Absolutely.
So as we continue our own journeys of connection,
yeah.
let's remember to approach them with open hearts,
Yes.
curious minds, and a willingness to embrace those challenges
Right.
as opportunities for growth.
The universe is conspiring to support our evolution.
It is, and so are we.
We are.
That's a beautiful thought to end on.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
It's been a pleasure.
Till next time, keep exploring, keep growing, and keep shining your light.